What games is Nintendo hiding from us for the second half of 2024? A lot of people are doom and gloom right now, saying this year is all ports, it's all remakes, and that Nintendo probably doesn't have any exciting releases for the Nintendo Switch in the second half of 2024. Well, today I want to take a updated look at what I think we could end up seeing on the Nintendo Switch for the second half of the year, do some predictions, do some speculation with you all, and of course give the, I would say, more optimistic outlook on Nintendo Switch in 2024. So without further ado, of course, if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch news, reviews, coverage, all of that stuff, I would appreciate you subscribing if you have not already. Let's get into it. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games, and today we are predicting the second half of Nintendo's 2024 lineup. Now, at the beginning of the year, I did a similar video where I predicted the entire lineup, and well, that was under the idea that we would get a Nintendo Direct in February. So just a couple of things I've already gotten wrong. I said I thought that Metroid Prime 2 and 3 would be a shadow drop on February 7th and with a physical release on April 5th. That was obviously completely wrong. I also said that a new Tomodachi Life game would release on April 19th, 2024. However, we kind of got like a weird revival of like a relatively dead Nintendo franchise with Endless Ocean releasing in a similar time frame. So I guess we, instead of Tomodachi Life, we got Endless Ocean. There you guys have it. So yeah, I was pretty wrong with those predictions, but that's fine because today we're going to do some updated predictions and speculation, talking about the second half of Nintendo Switch in 2024, predicting what games will release and when. So starting off, of course, we're in April right now. There's a lot of, smoke in the air, or maybe just hopium in the air for a Nintendo Direct in April or maybe even early May. I'm working under the assumption, I guess, pessimistic assumption that we will not get one until June. I know people don't want to hear that, but let's just assume we're not getting one until the normal time frame in June. So right now, the lineup looks like on May 2nd, we have Endless Ocean Luminous. On May 23rd, we have Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. And then on June 27th, we have Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So we have 3 games currently announced right now. I am predicting, let's see, I think 7 more games here for release in 2024. That would put Nintendo at about, I think, 12 to 13 games released. And I'm not expecting every single game here to release, but just to give some ideas for what Nintendo could release and what would make sense on the Switch and what will likely be its final full calendar year. So starting off, on June 18th, I think we will finally get a Nintendo Direct. That is the week after Summer Games Fest. Normally, or at least in recent memory, Nintendo has been doing their June Direct in the second half of the month, whereas it used to be a little bit towards the middle, or at least closer to the first half because of E3. Now they do it a week later because of Summer Games Fest. I think they just don't want to be associated with Summer Games Fest. So I think June 18th, we will get a Nintendo Direct, and as part of that Nintendo Direct, I'm predicting it again, Metroid Prime 2 and 3 will be shadow dropped digitally. I think that given Nintendo released Pikmin 1 and 2 HD before Pikmin 4 released, I think they will do the same. It doesn't really track to me that they would do Pikmin 1 and 2 before Pikmin 4 came out and not do Metroid Prime 2 and 3 before Metroid Prime 4 comes out, which I also think is going to release this year, but we'll get to that. Now, on July 18th, exactly 1 month later, I do think we will end up getting a physical package of Metroid Prime 2 and 3 for probably, $50, $60. These aren't going to be remasters like Metroid Prime Remastered was, but more ports akin to Pikmin 1 and 2 that we had last year. And that's it for July. I think there will not be another July game, which is definitely going against the mold. A lot of people have been talking, and myself included, kind of expecting a big game in July. Every year of the Switch has had a July game, but this year I think all we're getting is, of course, 2 games in June with Metroid Prime 2 and 3, as well as Luigi's Mansion 2. So I guess 3 games if you count those Metroid games separately, and then a physical release in July for Metroid Prime 2 and 3. However, I do think we will have a game on August 1st, and I think having it be in August, even though it's barely in August, gives them enough time from that June Direct to market whatever this game ends up being. Now, I have 2 possible scenarios listed out here. The first scenario is Fire Emblem 4, so the remake of Genealogy of the Holy War that a lot of people have expected. There's been a lot of rumors about that game existing. I think it's a pretty open secret at this point that they are making a remake of Fire Emblem 4. The question is, when do they release it? After Fire Emblem engages, I want to say more modest sales. I do think it's possible that Nintendo does end up saving that game for the Switch 2. So that's why I'm not 100% sure if that game will even release this year anymore, given how Fire Emblem Engage did. So I'm going to say Fire Emblem 4 Remake on August 1st, or another kind of more niche game that I think would appeal to hardcore gamers. The Last Story HD. This is a deep cut, but it's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and how Nintendo, really gave Xenoblade a chance in the West after all that fan demand. Of course, if you were there, it was Operation Rainfall. It was Xenoblade Chronicles 3, The Last Story, as well as Pandora's Tower. Those were the 3 games that fans were campaigning for to get localized in the West. I think now that Xenoblade has pretty much proven itself as a mainstay Nintendo franchise, they will go back and do a little bit more. I'm not going to say like, oh, they're going to try to turn Last Story into a franchise or anything, but we've seen a lot of Wii ports recently, as well as GameCube and, 3DS. I think a great Wii port would be The Last Story HD. Now, Nintendo didn't publish the game in America, Xseed did, but Nintendo does own the IP. Like, if you look at the back of the box, it says, Nintendo, copyright Nintendo on the game. So, Nintendo does own this IP. It was developed by Mistwalker, which is, I believe, Sakaguchi Studio, the original creator of Final Fantasy. That's why they called it The Last Story. I think this would be a great fit for a kind of just random game. Nintendo's been bringing back random stuff like Another Code and Endless Ocean. I think The Last Story is a great fit for a final year title on the Nintendo Switch. I also just really want to see it happen because I haven't played that game all the way through before, and I would like to play it in HD, looking a little bit nicer. So that's my August 1st pick, which normally we don't have an August game, but you know what, we're going to roll with it, give them a little bit more time from that June Direct to market whatever August 1st is, be it Fire Emblem, be it Last Story. Now, moving into September, I think we have one September game this year, and that is our Kirby game. If you look at the Kirby release schedule, we pretty much get one every year, even if it is some sort of eShop game. Now, I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic here, and I will say there's going to be like a full retail game here that they put a lot of effort into, but I don't think it's going to be a spinoff, which might be the more realistic approach here. However, I'm saying that we will get Kirby Triple Super Deluxe on September 19th. Now, I already know what you're thinking. This is way too soon after Return to Dreamland Deluxe. I don't think it is. That'll be about 18 months after we had a Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and it just feels like such a Nintendo thing to do. I think back to when we got Mario and Luigi, the 2 remakes back-to-back on 3DS. If this is the Switch's final year, and they're trying to kind of pad out the lineup a little bit, I can totally see a scenario where they wanted to get another Kirby game out, like another retail Kirby game that will sell, maybe 1 million or 2 million copies. And given that we just got Return to Dreamland Deluxe last year, I think Triple Deluxe is the next natural step forward for them if we are talking about Kirby remakes. I was thinking about maybe they could do like Kirby Air Ride or something. That would be interesting to bring back. But no, I think we'll just get Kirby Triple Super Deluxe. I was thinking, would they do like a 2-pack maybe with Planet Robobot? I think they're going to add enough to Triple Deluxe that they don't really need to. Maybe it's a $50 game, who knows? But I think Planet Robobot is good enough to stand on its own. And while I like Triple Deluxe, I'm not sure if, without adding massive amounts of content, I'm not sure how well it would do. So I think they're just going to soup up that game like a lot, add a ton of different modes, a ton of different maybe epilogue content like they did with Magalore in Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and I think that'll be our Kirby game for 2024. Now, on October 3rd, that's when we're finally getting Metroid Prime 4. I've been saying all along that I think Metroid Prime 4 is still a Switch game, and that is one thing that I am still very confident in. I think Metroid Prime 4 will release on the Nintendo Switch. Will it be this year? Will it be like early next year or something? That remains to be seen. I would lean towards this year though, because if it's getting pushed to like early next year or something, maybe just save it for Switch 2 at that point. But as one of their big marquee titles for holiday 2024, I think Metroid Prime 4 just makes a lot of sense. It's the only currently announced game from Nintendo that like doesn't have a release date, unless you count Pokemon Legends ZA, which I guess does count because it's a Nintendo game, but that's 2025. So Metroid Prime 4 has been so elusive for so long. I do think it will release this year on October 3rd. I think that's actually the same date I gave it in my last video earlier in the year. It kind of mirrors that 2021 release of Metroid Dread alongside Mario Party Superstars, which I also think we will be getting a new Mario Party game this year. Camelot hasn't released a game in over 3 years now, or will it have been 3 years come October. They don't normally ever go longer than that. So I think October 17th, we will get Mario Party Mega Mix. And I think this will be another compilation of sorts where instead of focusing on Mario Party 1 through 3, this time Mega Mix will focus on Mario Parties 4 through, I guess, 10, but really the GameCube era will be the major focus of this game, maybe also include 8 in there, because, I was thinking, like, it'd be cool to get a wholly new Mario Party again. We haven't had one since 2018, but I would kind of rather save that for the Switch too, to be honest. So I think having another Mario Party compilation of past minigames and past boards this year on the Switch actually makes a lot of sense, and just based on the development timeline for Indie Cube, I think Mario Party is just, the timing is right for a new Mario Party. Now, this next one I have debated on quite a bit. However, I think I am actually very confident in this happening. As much as I don't really personally want it to happen, I think all the signs are there for a new Hyrule Warriors game in 2024. November 7th, Hyrule Warriors, The Imprisoning War. I think we will get a new Hyrule Warriors game from Koei Tecmo. I was looking, and from like 2017 to 2022, Koei Tecmo released like a lot of Warriors games, like multiple a year. They have not released a Warriors game since Three Hopes in 2022, so it's been a long time for that company to not release a Warriors game. We also just saw that their financials were a bit down right now. They actually had to revise their expectations for this fiscal year because they're not doing as well as they thought. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is the best-selling Warriors game. It makes sense that, assuming Nintendo will allow it, they would want to make another Hyrule Warriors game based on Breath of the Wild, or in this case, Tears of the Kingdom. I think this is a disappointing outcome personally. I didn't love Age of Calamity. I would be much more excited about like just a Hyrule Warriors 2, which takes aspects from all different angles of the franchise, or even a Xenoblade Chronicles Warriors, but I think Hyrule Warriors The Imprisoning War makes the most financial sense for Koei Tecmo and Nintendo if they want to have first of all, a big Warriors game this year, but also a new Zelda game. Traditionally, Zelda is an annualized franchise, if you count ports and remakes. And this would be another year where we don't get one, when we just had a year without a game in 2022. Now, if you remember, Tears of the Kingdom was supposed to come out in 2022. Like, that was the original release window, but it got delayed. So my guess is, I think they probably intended for nothing to release in 2023. I find it very hard to believe that they were ever planning on going 2 full years without a new Zelda game. And I think, if Tears of the Kingdom was supposed to come out in 2022, that's basically, 2.5 years of prep time for The Imprisoning War as a new Hyrule Warriors game. Koei Tecmo could have been kind of looking in at what Nintendo was doing and kind of getting some lore dumps from the team over there, so they could get a head start on Imprisoning War after finishing Three Hopes. I mean, these Warriors games don't take that long to make. I feel like this would just be such an easy release for them to get out on the Nintendo Switch in 2024, and it would fill their Zelda checkbox for 2024 as well. Now, I do have one more game listed here that I'm very unsure of. If you asked me like 3 months ago, I would have said, oh yeah, slam dunk. But November 21st, I think we will get some sort of Pokemon game. I still don't believe it, man. I still don't believe they're going to go 2 years in a row without releasing a mainline Pokemon game. Now, it could be a spinoff. Maybe we get a spinoff in November. Mystery Dungeon could happen, or something else entirely. But I just feel like there were so many signs for a Pokemon remake in 2024. We don't even know when Legends EA is releasing. They didn't say early 2025. They just said 2025. I'm expecting early 2025, but given how Pokemon Company has acted in the past, specifically referring to when they released Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl right next to Legends Arceus, maybe they truly took the feedback from Scarlet and Violet to heart, but I'm still expecting something Pokemon this year, and I think the reason they didn't announce it next to Legends EA is because they know fans are fatigued. The sales don't show that. The sales are showing, hey, keep your keep your foot on the gas pedal and keep milking these games. But in terms of like the fan response, I think not showing another Pokemon game for 2024 in that Legends EA announcement, it was their way of just being like, okay, let's just chill out. Let's get some goodwill, because it's like, oh, we're only going to release a game in 2025. And then like right at the last minute, they can, pull the rug out from under our feet and announce a Black and White remake or a Johto remake. I'm not sure which one it would be, but it would be one of those two, I would imagine. But that one, like I said, I'm not 100% sure. I do think a Pokemon spinoff or something makes sense this year, especially because Detective Pikachu Returns didn't do very well. So that's 2 full calendar years if we get no Pokemon game this year, where the Pokemon Company didn't have a big million-plus seller. So I think something Pokemon this year definitely makes sense. And that about does it for what I think we could see on the Nintendo Switch in 2024. There are some other, avenues or routes you can go with the speculation here. I know a lot of people are expecting a Donkey Kong game. Sure, I think that's possible. I know a lot of people think that maybe instead of Hyrule Warriors, we get like a 2D Zelda game. That would be very exciting. In fact, I would much prefer that to a Warriors game. Maybe we don't get a Kirby game at all. Maybe we don't get a Mario Party game at all. But I don't think, or at least I don't buy into this idea that Nintendo just has nothing for the second half of the year. Maybe it won't be as many things as I said, but I think you can expect at least 4 more games to release in 2024 after Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Because if they didn't have anything, they would have just moved around Thousand Year Door. Like, they would have put that into Holiday or something, or Luigi's Mansion 2 would have been released around Halloween time. The fact that they push all of these games out in the first half of the year tells me they do have something releasing, or at least a couple things exciting releasing in the second half during the holiday season, during, you know, the biggest time for sales. And we just have to wait and see what those games are. It's a very quiet time for Nintendo, but they're cooking. Just let them cook, fellas. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think of my lineup here for the Nintendo Switch in 2024? And what would you change? What games do you think make sense for Nintendo to release in 2024, the supposed final year of the Switch? I would love to get a conversation going down in the comments below. Of course, subscribe here. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. And until next time, folks, peace.